Hello, welcome to episode 36 of Simple Ken. It's a solo episode, so just you and me.
Time for simple. It's time for simple. It's time for simple Ken. It's time for simple. It's time for simple. It's time for simple Ken.
What a lovely intro song. Thank you for always showing love for the intro song. Now that you've listened to the intro song and settled in to whatever you're doing, let's guess. What are you guys doing? Are you cleaning, driving, trying to get over a very tough situation, trying to fall asleep? God knows, man. Whatever you use Simple Ken for, I don't know. But the intro should let you get into the zone. I haven't done a solo episode in a long time because Simple Ken was not meant to be a solo thing. It was meant to be me and my friends. It's not an interview thing either. It's just like all the fun conversations I have with my friends, which suddenly goes deep. I wanted to recreate that as a show, not a podcast. It's a long recording of me talking. Last episode, I called it a podcast as a joke. People forget I was saying this is a podcast about capitalism. Whole thing was a joke. It's not a podcast. It's a long recording of me talking. Anyway, if you've come, if you're listening to the, if you're listening to the show for the first time, it's very hard for me to explain what the show is. When I'm with guests, this is a genuine interaction and trying to get to know my guests better. But it's mostly you ask us questions, the audience. What are these questions are being asked is asked by you in the comments of the YouTube video or the Instagram page, which is Simple Ken Podcast. So I take those questions and I choose questions which I also want to talk about. And we don't give advice. By we, I mean I, because it's very hard to give advice to anybody because you don't know the full context. And also we're all KD, huh? We'll all make ourselves sound great and be like, I have not done anything. This other person is causing all of it. So you don't know both sides. So we use the questions and try to answer it. If I was going through it, what would I do? So people who are new to it, I'm not giving a universal solution. I know context matters. I'm only giving how I would deal with it with my perspective as a guy who's married, lives in Mumbai, does stand-up comedy, has been a freelancer for 15 years. Yeah, I was talking about it in therapy about never having a 9 to 5 and always being a freelancer and how that's caused me to be stressed all the time because I don't have any off work hours. When I'm sitting right now, this is my living room. I'm working in my living room. So if you see me sitting in my sofa, I'm not relaxing. My brain is invariably thinking we're in office and thinking constantly. So I was like, even though I don't do anything on Saturdays, Sundays, I try not to if I don't have shows. I'm still very worked up. And she was telling me that you got to get out of your house because your house is your office. Unfortunately. Dream job? Hell no. More like hell job. Sorry. Please don't leave after that joke. Anyway, let's get to the first question. I'll keep updating you what's happening in my life. If you want to know quickly what's happening in my life, we're moving out of this house and moving into another house. It's a slightly bigger house. Can't work in this tiny house. We just want to get back to Mumbai and not get super attached to the amazing life we were living in Goa. So we've been in Mumbai for almost 7-8 months now. Now we're moving to our final resting place where we will die, hopefully. I don't know, man. Life is too unpredictable. My tour is starting this weekend. I'm shooting this on a Wednesday. Friday is my first November 18th show in Hyderabad. We sold 2,000 tickets. Crazy. And then we have Nagpur, Bhubaneswar, Guwahati, Kolkata, Vizag, Vijayawada, Vadodara, Ahmedabad, Pune. And then we have the next leg after that in next year, Jan, Feb, where we're doing Bangalore, Chennai and all again, bro, because everybody was asking. So that touring is happening. Trace is working in a clinic. So she's pretty busy, caught up. And Christmas is coming up. My birthday is coming up. So very excited. On 31st December is my birthday, by the way. So Simple Ken audience, don't forget to wish me. I'm kidding, I don't care. But let's get to the first question. I have removed this person's name because it felt like a very personal question. So I don't want her to get embarrassed if we pick this question. So let's get to it. First question. Hey, Kenneth, Gwendolyn, Sebastian. That's a name given to me by Kanan, of course. Simplecan has been my refuge while I was dealing with a really shitty time in my life. A lot of topics hit home, and your insights on them made me think, question, as well as realize a lot of stuff. Especially the one where you talked about how if a person is no longer a part of our life, we have to remember how we lead our life before they became a part of it. Anywho, my question is a silly one at that. Is it a natural and human way to feel bitter towards an ex? As in, like, you've come to peace with your whole situation, but suddenly, smack in the middle of the day, you somehow stumble upon them having fun with other people, and your brain goes, how can they be so happy when you're so miserable? And do they really miss you? Or did your presence ever matter in their life? Somewhere a tiny part of your heart wants them to be a little miserable because you are, but then again, you're conscious that it's a bad thing to feel for someone. Is this normal or am I a horrible person? What are your 2 cents? Lots of love to these long recordings of you talking, and a big thank you for doing this. I hope you have an idea of how impactful this is being in so many lives, including mine. Oh, thank you guys. So sweet. I never get fed up of all the wonderful messages. Please, the more detailed it is, the more genuine I know it is. Okay, I took this question. We keep getting this question, but I took this mostly because from the context of when a significant relationship suddenly is out of your life. And I took it because I recently ended a friendship. Couple of them, and I was getting worried, is this normal? And I spoke to other friends in the same age range, I'm 31, that they're also going through the same thing. And I guess 30s is the time where you kind of get set in your ways and you kind of know what's good for you, what's bad for you. And I realized these 2 friends were quite bad for me. I wish there was another better option where I didn't have to cut them off. But then I've been going for therapy also. So a lot of bad habits I've had to unlearn. And it was very clear they were bad for me in my life. As people, they're fine and they're not bad people, but they were very bad for me in my life. So it was so strange to break up with a friend. I know you're talking about breaking up with an ex. To be honest, it still seemed like it's recent. So that's why you're feeling that way. Nothing like time. Time will heal it. And you're bumping into them, or you're stalking them on Instagram. Stop doing that, but you'll get over it, honestly. And one wonderful thing to know and horrible thing to know is that you mean a lot to a lot of people and you mean nothing at the same time. Like, for example, I'm hoping my wife, my family, and my friends think I'm a big part of their lives, but at the same time, to console yourself, you're also not a big part of their lives. They're also adults. They can also navigate in their own world and they don't necessarily need you. If you're there, great. If you're not there, life won't come crumbling down. So this helps you also to not stress about your relationships. At the same time, you also realize that, you're pretty irreplaceable. But you broke up with them and you have moved on with your life. You're miserable now, but you'll get better, bro. The moment you meet someone better or nicer or different, you'll just forget about them. Then you've become that horrible person who just moved on. So there's nobody who's horrible. It's just how it is. But back to the friendship breakup. I want you in the comments to tell me if in detail, don't just be like me also. Like if you have had an experience of ending a friendship, ideally, if you're in your 30s or 40s, because I'm sorry, but if you're in your 20s, the reasons for ending friendships are not relatable to me. But in your 30s and 40s, you have very nuanced reasons to end friendships. Like you really think about it. And I don't know if it's the right thing I did, but man, I feel so much better about it because they were pretty toxic. But they were nice people. So I feel bad because I don't want them to be hurt. But at the same time, my life, I don't have much time. And your life and your mood is precious and your feelings are precious. And I already am so blessed to have friends who respect me and I respect them. They respect my time and my feelings. So why waste your energy into people who are not doing that? And it's not like they made one mistake and I was like, get out. I was just like, oh, this is multiple times that they have been toxic and and I had to end it, and it was not. It's quite ugly. It was, and I wish there was a smoother way of doing it. Because I feel people expect a very dramatic reason to break up, in a friendship or in a relationship. Like you cheated on me, or you hit me, or you betrayed me. But something as this is not a very fulfilling and fruitful relationship, seems like a very high standard problem to end a relationship with. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Thank you for that question, stranger. This question is pretty long. It's from Sabina. She says, "Hey, this is the first message I've written to you. French people are good in many things, but English isn't one of them." So I think she's French Indian. My question, if you could be reborn, would you choose to be reborn as a man or a woman? I think I want to be reborn as a man. The question goes on, just to see if there's any difference. I'm Sri Lankan. Oh, she's not Indian, but born and raised in France. And my parents are very strict with relationships and all. When I was young, they didn't even want me to talk to boys. And my brother, he had a girlfriend for a long time and married her last year. Me, on the other hand, had to go on dates secretly and with the constant fear of suddenly running into a family member. I dated someone for 6 years. It didn't end well. Then arranged marriage with a complete stranger. I had to face domestic abuse and a divorce. After then, I tried dating one last time, but I realized that something broke inside me and I wasn't interested in being in a relationship anymore. So my love life not so great. Thankfully, I have great friends and my job makes me happy. And your videos. I'm so sorry, Sabina. I've been through a lot. I'm 32 now. Wow, she's just 1 year older than me. I want to be alone and live a peaceful life, but nobody agrees or understands it, and they all think it's impossible for a girl to live by herself. What are your thoughts on this? Maybe men's life is even more complicated. I don't know. I'm sure it's not easy for you guys too. Or it's just not about being a man or a girl, but about making good choices and doing the right things. Watching Simple Ken and listening to you makes me wonder about a lot of things. And she says nice things about this show. Okay, what a very heavy question from Sabina. Man, she's been through a lot. If there are any parents listening, please do not do this to your daughters. I mean, it's so hypocritical that you do this. You give freedom to your sons and not your daughters. I get it. It's more dangerous for girls in India, especially. But man, the solution is not to cage them because they get pretty emotionally stunted in choosing a life partner. And arranged marriage doesn't always work, as you can see. And a lot of people discuss that reasons where, back in the day, marriages worked. Now marriage is not working because people have so many needs. That's like saying back in the day, people didn't need a lot of medicines. Yeah, because you died or you survived. Now, a lot of people are not dying because we have a lot of medicines. So the same way, back in the day, people didn't have a lot of needs because they didn't have freedom. And whoever they married, they couldn't divorce. So they were happily in bad marriages. Now, the human beings are just the same. Now they have a voice and they can say what they want in a marriage and choose happiness and actually choose to leave. So marriages are not falling apart. It's just that people are being treated like people now and like human beings with needs and wants and not asked to compromise so much also. Not saying you shouldn't compromise. Marriage or any relationship is a lot of compromise, but we just want basic stuff like don't hit us, respect us as a person and love us. Anyway, Sabina's question. I think she changed from the man or woman question to just I feel, Sabina, if you are not going for therapy, please do. It'll really help you. I don't think you're broken or there's anything wrong with you. It's just that you have been through a lot of trauma and you should definitely introspect and go through with it and see if maybe it's affecting you said something very tragic, that something is broken inside of me, so I couldn't continue the relationship. That's not a normal feeling. So maybe go to just not feel broken. That could, I keep saying, if therapy makes you feel even 10% better, it's worth it. Okay, even 10% better, it's your life, and your brain and you are in one jail. If you're not happy in that jail, you're screwed. Mind jail. So even if it makes your life 10% better, just go for it. You don't want to feel 10% better. You just want to feel shitty. Anyway, again, if I was in your situation, I would not assume that I don't want to be with anybody. If you enjoy relationships, this whole broken feeling obviously is coming from trust issues and abuse and trauma. Because you obviously have been through so many bad experiences that you're scared now, and that's natural. So go for therapy, figure it out. Maybe you might have healed enough to have the courage to date again. And yeah, I'm also scared someday I'll have a daughter and I'll be so paranoid about her safety that I might not allow her to live her life, because I'm very lucky that I was allowed to date. So I could eventually date a lot of people and know what I want. Also, know how shitty of a person I am to finally meet somebody. I was talking about this recently with some friends that it's not over once you date somebody. It's not over when you marry them. It's not over when you have your first kid. It's not over when you have your second kid. It's not over when you go through menopause or middle age. It's not over when your children get married. Your relationship has constant hurdles that you have to learn and navigate through. So it's a never ending journey. So you can't just be like, maybe I'll date and then I'm married, my job is over. Nope. It's a never ending journey and a process. So get on it as soon as you can. So if you can date in college so that you can learn your triggers, what are your bad qualities, how you are ruining the relationship. Fix that so that when you find the right person, you can continue the relationship through all these hurdles. Through possibly you could go through depression at some point and navigating that with your partner, or your partner could go through depression or postpartum depression or lose a job or relocate to a new country. So many things you have to go through. So get practice ASAP. I'm so glad I could talk about it. This is something I really wanted to discuss. And if you resonated with this, again, in the comment section, tell me about how you thought this was it and then you got into it and realized, wow, this is just the beginning. Hey, how are you doing? We'll get back to the podcast. I just want to talk about a place you might not have heard of. It's in southwest of Germany, and nobody can pronounce the name of the state, by the way. You can try it. Or if you're listening to the audio version, its short form is BW, or they affectionately call it The Land. There's also this adorable and hilarious web series that is of the same name, The Land, which follows the adventures of this character called Mark. He's a filmmaker who's been tasked with making a film on the land to encourage skilled workers to come. But instead, he makes something else entirely. It's also the most creative approach I've seen to get people to come to a place to either study, work, or even live. So you should check it out. The first episode of the web series, the link is at the end of this video. And I just want to thank them for also sponsoring this video. They're very kind and very sweet. And I think as Simplecan audience, I would really appreciate, because finally somebody who's helping out this show that I'm self-producing. So thank you so much. Now back to the episode. Bye-bye. This question is from Priyanka Arora. Hi Kenny, I love the latest episode on emotional investment. I'm 27 years old. And I feel constantly torn between living my life as a daughter and as my own self. My parents require a lot of my time and energy, and it doesn't leave me much time to form and nurture relationships or give more to my professional life. Sometimes I feel I should step back from my duties as a daughter, but then I feel guilty. I'm still not financially sound, so it's difficult for me to think of marriage. I also struggle with anxiety and have had a few panic attacks. So anytime I have to make some hard decisions, I seem to lose control of my life and get all anxious. Any advice on how to maneuver difficult decision-making processes and how to strike a balance between what your parents demand of you and where you want to invest your time? Simple Ken is super soothing. Thanks. Priyanka is also going through a similar thing. This is what I love and hate about Indian culture and upbringing. I love that we're so close to our parents. I also hate that we're so close to our parents because it's such a conundrum, Like, I love that unlike Western cultures, I'm sorry, I'm just generalizing, we're not encouraged to separate ourselves from our parents when we grow up. And I really love being close to my parents and taking care of them and spending time with them, especially as they're growing old. What the negative parts of it, which I have not experienced, is parents get super involved in their child's life, forcing them to get married, forcing them to do a particular job, involving themselves in the family politics. That part is very sad. Luckily, touch wood, I don't have to deal with that. But I've heard a lot of my friends, it's a big problem they're going through. It's also nice how financially our parents are there to help us out, guide us in jobs. Sometimes we live with our parents, so we don't have to worry about rent. pros and cons to both. This came up in therapy a while ago for me. I was faced with the reality that my parents are getting old, and it hit me. And because I'm very privileged, touch wood, I've made enough money now. So now I'm kind of thinking outwardly, and I'm like, they're getting old, and am I spending enough time with them? And I went into this spiral. And the solution I found with my therapist was I'll go see them every month. Because realistically, you can't give up your life for your parents. You also have a life. They also left their parents and invested in you. It's just how life is. As a child, you're with your parents, and when you become an adult, you have to go out there into the world and succeed. And your parents should want that for you. I mean, parents who want their kids to stay next to them forever is insane. They're not your pets. Like, they're also adults. And they also found their grandparents, like their parents, suffocating, and they're doing the same thing to their kids. It's hard. I know I'm not a parent, but objectively, you nurture a child, you let them grow, and the metaphor of the bird has to fly away from the nest is so true. If my parents didn't allow me or let me go to Bombay, I wouldn't have not even flourished 5% of this. I also want to be with them, so I go and meet them once a month because I can afford to. I fly to Bangalore. If you can trace or talk to our parents every morning on the phone, I'm not a phone guy, I like to meet them. So find your own middle ground. Again, if you go for therapy, they'll figure this out, or they'll figure out where this guilt is coming from. So again, go for therapy. It's a very heavy topic you brought up, because the fear of losing your parents is also a big fear that we all go through. But I don't know, it helps me then I console myself. It's like, Kenny, you can't stay next to your mom and dad 24/7. You won't have a life. You don't want to be away from them 24/7. So just go meet them once a month. So if God forbid anything happens to them, you won't regret that you didn't put the time and effort to be with your parents. You spend every month with them. And that's the best you could do realistically. And yeah, it's a good middle ground for me. It works for me. So you also have to figure out, if I'm moving to another city, another country, call them every day without fail. Plan that every Diwali I will be home no matter what, which is still once a year, which is less, but it's something. And that way that lingering feeling will go away. Every time a lingering feeling comes, like, yo, Diwali plan, I call them every day. Lingering feeling, go away. So yeah. Thank you for that question, Priyanka. Okay, now we come to the final question of this episode. I will not reveal your name because she asked me to. Hi, Kenny. I would not like you to speak out my name. I'm just 15 years old. I have OCD, and I also face a lot of mental issues like panic attacks, anxiety, and sometimes depression. Usually when I'm going through these types of illness, I prefer listening to your podcast. It has really helped me to overcome my panic attacks, because during panic attacks, I don't usually prefer being alone. And your podcast has helped me a lot to overcome them. And thank you so much for that. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me during my bad times, even though you didn't know me. Oh, that's so sweet. Feeling bad for you also. I've been consulting a counselor in my school. I don't tell my parents about visiting the counselor because they always overreact to my panic attacks and anxiety and all these mental illness. They just think I'm doing this for attention. They're just being the typical Indian parents reacting to mental illness. And all my parents know about mental illness. And all my parents know about mental illness is the stress. Or all they know about mental illness is stress. Okay. So you're saying they don't see it as mental illness. They see it as stress. I dropped my phone. Anyway. First of all, I have to call you something. So I'll call you Neha. Neha, good thing you're going to a counselor. I'm sorry you can't share it with your parents, but good job being 15. You're taking action. That's incredible. I'm sorry that at this young age, you're dealing with such serious things like anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. I've been increasingly noticing that a lot of young 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds are getting panic attacks. And it's something that's new to me because growing up, I didn't see that a lot. Or maybe we didn't know what it was. We're also privileged to know that your heart rate increasing, shortness of breath, puking, they're all signs of stress or panic. We know that anxiety is a real thing. We know depression is a real thing. I'm hoping, Neha, that at some point you can talk to a relative you feel comfortable with, like a cousin who's more mentally aware, and could accompany you to a therapist or a psychiatrist who can give you meds if required, if that helps. You're very young, so I don't know. Again, I'm not a mental health professional, but I would recommend going with a cousin or an older friend who can take you to a therapist or a psychiatrist, and you can reject or accept whatever diagnosis they give. Um, but also, sometimes I feel you don't need to overanalyze it. You have panic attacks now, it's okay. It doesn't mean you'll be with you for the rest of your life. It is also a high stress environment. Your parents are not entirely wrong. Anxiety, stress, and depression is caused a lot by the environment as well. There are seasonal depression, mild depression. A lot of people, when they have quit their jobs or moved to another place or are at a different part of their lives, the depression has reduced or gone. So you need to figure out if this is a proper clinical diagnosis or situational. So if it's really coming in the way of your life, you can't focus on your studies, I would say prioritize on going to a proper therapist and asking your cousin or family member who can sponsor that, ask your counselor itself if they can help you. But yeah, it's quite scary that I would call you a kid because I'm 31, that someone half my age is going through this. I hope, I'm just feeling bad for you that you can't tell your parents, and I feel like don't get frustrated about that, because my parents also took a lot of time to understand a lot of concepts, and it's just a product of age. We are very lucky that now it's spoken about so much. Now therapy is not seen like a taboo thing. It's seen like, oh, a legit. It's like going to the doctor, going to a therapist. So Neha, just hold on, okay? And I'm so glad that this show is somehow helping you. And for the listeners who can't relate to it, I would just say that if you could somehow increase the priority of how you're feeling. I don't want to use mental health because such a lame word now. It's overused. Like how you go to the gym or eat right or want to lose weight or go for vacations. If you can just put your mental health somewhere in that priority, little tweaks really help. One tweak that I'm doing is not missing working out or eating right or sleeping. I'm making sure I sleep to a point where if I watch less TV or I can't meet my friends or I cancel dinner plans, it's okay. I've noticed that tweaking slight things really make a major difference to my mental health, just because I'm aware of it. So if I'm extremely tired through the week, I'm just like, man, one day I just need to sleep. If I'm extremely feeling lethargic or depressed, get some more sun, go for a walk, work out, do something about it. I feel taking medicines is the last resort, because a lot of therapists and psychiatrists also don't want to give you meds. They want to try to help you holistically, just sort of homeopathy. But last resort is meds. If it's really bad and only meds can help you, go for it. But if you have not tried your diet and your exercise and removing stressful environments, or just stop talking to toxic friends, or trying to reduce your workload, just someone's at the door. Actually, why don't you come and just say hi in camera? Because you have mixed all the episodes. So this is Nishant.
Hi.
He's the one who's mixed all of the episodes. And Nishant told me to not keep the AC on, but it's too hot.
We'll noise it out.
Yes. So I was just wrapping up the episode. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your questions. If you want to listen to just the audio version, it's on all audio platforms. It's not on Doordarshan because we used some bad words, so they removed it. But it's on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all of them. And if you want to ask a question, people keep asking how do you ask a question. Just put it in the comments, put hashtag SimpleKen, or on Instagram. A lot of people are DMing me now. You can DM me also. All these questions are actually DMs. Yes, so have a wonderful week or month or life ahead. Thank you for tuning in. Ta-ta.